नमस्कार, मेरा नाम सार्थक है और आज के इस प्रेजेंटेशन में हम बात करेंगे श्री औरबिंदो के बारे में और उन्होंने इंडियन स्क्रिप्चर पर जो काम किया है उसके बारे में हम आज के इस प्रेजेंटेशन में बात करेंगे। चलिए शुरू करते हैं। पहले इनके इंट्रोडक्शन की बात करें तो श्री औरबिंदो का जन्म 15 अगस्त 1872 को हुआ था और ये एक फिलोसोफर, पोएट, योगी भी थे। He shifted from political activism to a life of spiritual exploration. He settled in Pondicherry, founding the Sri Aurobindo Ashram in 1926. His emphasis was on Hindu scriptures as a source of universal wisdom. Next, we will talk about the Vedas. Here, I would like to start with a quote of Sri Aurobindo, which states that beyond the limitations of the human mind lies a higher consciousness waiting to be explored. Sri Aurobindo's The Secret of the Ved is a profound exploration of the Vedic hymns and the symbolic nature of the Ved that goes beyond conventional and mythological explanations. Such few examples are like this. When we talk about Agni, the usual meaning is Agni means fire, which is central to Vedic rituals, and it works as the medium that carries offering to the gods. But Sri Aurobindo's interpretation is somewhat different. Sri Aurobindo says that Agni presents the inner fire of aspiration and will. It is the force that transforms the lower self into the higher self, igniting the journey towards spiritual realization. Similarly, Indra. We know that Indra is the king of gods and the slayer of the demon Vritra, who blocks the waters. But Sri Aurobindo defines Indra. Indra means the illumined mind that dispels ignorance, that is Vritra. The release of waters signifies the release of higher knowledge and spiritual consciousness. Then we talk about Som. It means a sacred drink extracted from a plant and offered in Vedic rituals. But Sri Aurobindo says that Som symbolizes the bliss or Anand of spiritual realization, the nectar of divine consciousness that flows when one connects with higher truths. Next, we talk about the sun or Surya. The sun is worshipped as the physical source of light and life for us human beings. Whereas Sri Aurobindo explains that Surya means the supreme truth, knowledge, and illumination. It is a divine light that dispels ignorance and leads to spiritual realization. Then we talk about Vritra. Its normal meaning, like most people know, that Vritra is a serpent-like demon who hoards water, and he was defeated by Indra. But Sri Aurobindo says that Vritra signifies the psychological forces of obstruction, such as doubt, fear, and ignorance, which block the soul's progress. Then we talk about the Ashwa, or the horse. A horse, often associated with physical strength and speed in Vedic rituals and other things. But Sri Aurobindo says that the horse symbolizes vital energy or pran, the dynamic force that drives human and cosmic evolution. It represents controlled power channeled toward spiritual goals. Lastly, we talk about Sangram. By Sangram, we means that the battles that are often described as physical conflict between gods and demons, whereas Sri Aurobindo says that Sangram means the inner struggle between the divine forces, that is, the higher consciousness, and asuric forces, that is, ignorance, ego, and desire. Using these interpretations, a hymn's or a word's meaning changes completely. For example, in Rig Veda 1.32, the hymn's normal meaning is Indra defeats Vritra and liberates the water. Whereas if we see what the Aurobindo means by these symbols, this is interpreted as the mind breaking through the obstacle of ignorance, allowing spiritual clarity to flow. Moving forward, Sri Aurobindo reinterprets the yajna or yajna as symbolic act rather than mere external rites and explain its symbolism as well. Like in a hymn to Agni, that is in Rig Veda 1.1, its literal translation is O Agni, accept this sacrifice and carry it to the gods. Whereas the interpretation by Sri Aurobindo means, or this means to the inner sacrifice of ego and ignorance of a human being, which Agni, that is the divine aspiration, transforms into a connection with the higher consciousness. Similarly, in a hymn to Som, in Rig Veda 9.113, its literal translation means that we have drunk the Som and we have become immortal. Whereas Sri Aurobindo's interpretation says that this signifies the blissful state of consciousness achieved through spiritual awakening, where the soul transcends to its mortal limitations. Even the fruits of the yajna, traditionally, which could be any kind of boon, material prosperity, or rain, are reimagined. For Aurobindo, or for Sri Aurobindo, these represent spiritual treasures, that is, peace, illumination, and divine unity. And through this reinterpretation, Aurobindo reclaims yoga as universal symbol of spiritual evolution, relevant not only in ancient times but also to modern seekers. By focusing on their symbolic and psychological meanings, he revitalizes the Vedic concept of sacrifice, emphasizing its role as a transformative act of self surrender and spiritual growth, transcending ritualistic boundaries. Next, Sri Aurobindo critiques that later symbols and mythological interpretation of the Vedic hymns, like focus on ritualism, in which the rituals, while important, are primarily symbolic. They point to the inner sacrifice of ego and ignorance, which are essential for spiritual progress. Fabrication or mythologization of the gods. By this, the Sri Aurobindo means that the gods are not merely mythological beings or physical forces. They represent inner psychological states and cosmic powers involved in the spiritual evolution of humanity. and neglecting the symbolic layer. By this, the Sri Aurobindo means that the Vedas operate on multiple levels: physical, psychological, and spiritual. A literal reading without exploring the symbolic depth misses the true essence of the hymns. For example, the Chariot of God in Rig Veda 1.164.11. The traditional interpretation says that the chariot is often seen as a physical vehicle used by the gods in their mythological journeys and their battles, whereas Sri Aurobindo says that the chariot is a symbolic representation of the human body or mind as the vehicle for divine energies to flow. Again, we take a look at the examples of the lost cows in Rig Veda hymn number 3.39.4. The traditional interpretation says, or more clearly, it narrates the story of Angiras Rishi recovering stolen cows with the help of Indra. It is often understood as a pastoral myth about reclaiming cow herds. Sri Aurobindo's interpretation differs from this traditional interpretation. Sri Aurobindo sees the cows as a symbol of rays of divine illumination or streams of spiritual knowledge, and the work done by the sages was to bring forth these the knowledge so that the seeker can benefit from them. Now we take a look at the Upanishads. Again, I would like to start with a quote of the Sri Aurobindo. When the mind is still, truth has the opportunity to be heard in the purity of silence. Sri Aurobindo's Isha Upanishad is an exploration of Vedantic philosophy, such as concept of Brahman, renunciation and enjoyment, Vidya and Avidya, death and immortality, and many other topics. The book Isha Upanishad starts with this slok. This means that all this world, whatever moves in this moving world, is pervaded by the Lord, that is Ish. By giving up everything, one can enjoy. And do not covet or lust for anyone's wealth, for whose indeed is it? The Brahman is the Brahman is meant using or can be explained using some key ideas. First, I would like to talk about the all-embracing reality. Sri Aurobindo describes Brahman as the essence of all that exists. Everything in the cosmos, whether animate or inanimate, material or spiritual, is a manifestation of Brahman. This all in this this most powerful reality is the substratum of the existence, holding all forms and phenomena within itself. If we would like to take an example, we can see that a river, its flowing water, and its stillness in the ocean, it all merges into one, are all manifestation of Brahman. The river represents motion, while the ocean symbolizes stillness. Both are united in the oneness of existence. Then we talk about unity in multiplicity. Brahman is both the one and the many. While it is the indivisible unity at the core of everything, it also manifests as the diversity of forms, beings, and experiences. Aurobindo emphasizes that understanding Brahman requires seeing the unity that underlies all multiplicity. For example, we can we we see that in a garden, each flower is unique in its color and shape, yet they all grow from the same soil and are nourished by the same soil. Similarly, all individuals are objects are distinct expressions of the one Brahman. Then we talk about that the Brahman is both transcendent and inherent. Brahman, in Sri Aurobindo's view, is both beyond creation and deeply present within it. It transcends the material world, existing as the eternal, unchanging reality. Simultaneously, it is inherent in every atom, every thought, and every experience. For example, we can take the sky. The vast sky symbolizes the transcendence of Brahman, while a single drop of water reflects its immanence. Both dimensions coexist and define the divine essence. Then we talk about source of opposites. Brahman is the origin of all dualities and opposites in the world: light and darkness, joy and sorrow, creation and destruction. Aurobindo interprets this as the expression of Brahman's infinite nature, where opposites are reconciled in the larger harmony of existence. For example, day and night appear as opposites, yet they are the two sides of the same cosmic cycle. Similarly, Brahman encompasses all opposites within its eternal balance. Then we talk about death and immortality. Sri Aurobindo interprets death as a transition rather than an end, emphasizing that the soul is immortal. Brahman is the eternal essence that transcends the limitation of time, space, and mortality. Death, therefore, becomes a moment in the soul's journey toward higher realization. Just as a seed dies to give birth to a tree, the human form dissolves, but the soul continues its evolutionary ascent, finally merging into the immortality of the Brahman. And finally, the Brahman is explained using the term living the divine life. For Aurobindo, the realization of Brahman is not meant to lead to renunciation of the world, but to its transformation. Living the divine life means embodying the consciousness of Brahman in daily life, integrating spiritual awareness with material things. For example, a leader who acts selflessly for the greater good, treating all beings as expression of Brahman, exemplifies their divine life. Their actions are not driven by ego, but by a higher vision of unity. Next, in Isha Upanishad, we read about renunciation and enjoyment and how to balance them for all-round growth. Sri Aurobindo's explanation of the balance between renunciation and enjoyment in the Isha Upanishad is centered on the paradoxical teaching that one should renounce attachment while fully engaging with life. This balance is rooted in the idea that true spiritual fulfillment does not come from denying the world, but from living in it with a detachment and divine awareness. For this, we can take another example that the lotus grows and thrives in the water, but remains untouched by it. Similarly, one can live amidst the world's challenges and pleasures without being bound by them. Sri Aurobindo tells us that wealth and possessions should be used as instrument and not as an end goal. Sri Aurobindo argues that material possessions are not to be rejected outrightly, but should be seen as an instrument for serving a higher purpose. Detachment ensures that possessions do not own the individual. Death and immortality, as discussed by Sri Aurobindo, are profound themes that reflect his vision of soul's journey. The nature of the ultimate goal of spiritual evolution. For Sri Aurobindo, death is not an end but a transition, a required phase in the soul's eternal journey toward higher consciousness. Immortality, in his philosophy, is not merely the continuation of physical life, but the realization of the eternal spirits within. Sri Aurobindo views death as a required process in the evolution of consciousness. It allows the soul to shed its limitation and prepare for new experiences so that it can grow even more. Immortality, in Aurobindo's view, is not about prolonging the physical body, but about realizing the eternal and infinite nature of the soul. The leaves die and decay, nourishing the soul for the tree's future growth. Similarly, death paves the way for the renewal and progression of the soul in new forms and contexts. Sri Aurobindo's commentary on the knowledge, Vidya, and ignorance, Avidya, duality in the Isha Upanishad explores the idea that both are essential, but their roles in human life differ vastly. The Upanishad teaches that one should transcend ignorance while recognizing the importance of knowledge. According to Sri Aurobindo, Vidya refers to the deeper spiritual knowledge that leads to liberation, while Avidya represents the conventional practical knowledge needed for survival and worldly living. Together, they contribute to the fulfillment of human beings' highest potential. As I just said, Avidya is conventional knowledge, while Vidya is knowledge of the self and the divine. Yet they are not opposite but complementary. Sri Aurobindo describes the balance between the two, that is Vidya and Avidya, as the hallmark of a complete integrated life. Sri Aurobindo does not advocate the, not learning about the avidya or the conventional knowledge. Instead, he calls for a balance between Vidya and Avidya. One should live in the world, acquiring the necessary practical knowledge, while simultaneously seeking the deeper spiritual knowledge that leads to self realization. Now we talk about the Bhagavad Gita. Gita is the greatest gospel of spiritual works ever yet given to the race. This quote by Sri Aurobindo explains what is the importance of Gita for the humankind. Sri Aurobindo's Essays on the Gita is an enlightening philosophical work where he explores the Bhagavad Gita in a different manner, bringing out its deeper spiritual meanings. Sri Aurobindo sees the Gita as a timeless guide, emphasizing the divine potential of the individual soul and its ultimate union with the supreme being, that is the Brahman. In Sri Aurobindo's essays, the characters of the Mahabharata and parts of the Gita are also presented very uniquely. Allow me to give you some examples. First, we talk about the Krishna, whom Sri Aurobindo says or regards as the divine teacher and the guide. Sri Krishna in the epic is a divine charioteer and friend of Arjuna, offering counsel during the battle. But Aurobindo views Sri Krishna as a symbol of the Supreme Being or Supreme Divine in a human form, the manifestation of the highest consciousness. Sri Krishna represents the divine consciousness that resides within all human beings. but only a few can recognize and commune with it. For Sri Aurobindo, the Krishna's role is not merely to advise Arjuna on how to fight a war. Krishna teachings in the Gita address the nature of the universe, the self, and the divine. Krishna offers a path for the soul to transcend the limitation of the material world through realization of its true divine nature. His teachings is not confined to a historical moment or a battle, but is an eternal truth applicable to all human beings across time and space. Next, we talk about the Arjun, the seeker of truth. In the traditional story, Arjun is depicted as the warrior prince who is torn between his duty or dharma to fight in the war and his moral dilemma about the destruction that it will cause. Sri Aurobindo sees Arjun as a symbolic figure of the individual soul of a human being, caught between the forces of the material world and the call for spiritual awakening. His internal conflict represents the universe struggle of human beings caught in the dualities of the life, action and inaction, attachment and detachment, the worldly and the spiritual. Arjun's doubt and hesitations reflect the confusion and ignorance that prevent the individual from understanding their higher spiritual purpose. His eventual surrender to Krishna is symbolic of the soul's surrender to the divine will, the moment of realization when the individual overcomes ego and is open to the divine guidance. Next, we talk about the Kurukshetra. Sri Aurobindo interpreted the battlefield of Kurukshetra as more than just a physical area for a war between two factions. It is a it is a metaphor for the inner battlefield within the human mind and spirit. The war represents the spiritual struggle between the forces of ignorance and knowledge, the ego and the soul, attachment and detachment. The soldiers fighting in the war are seen as symbol of the different tenets or different nature of the human. The forces of the Kaurav represent the lower, egoistic desire, while the Pandavas symbolize the higher, dharmic, or spiritual tendencies. The battle itself is the ongoing internal conflict that every seeker faces on the path to spiritual growth. Next, we talk about the three gun, that is the forces of the nature. Sri Aurobindo emphasizes the concept of the gun, the three fundamental qualities of nature, that is sattva, rajas, and tamas, as presented in the Gita. These qualities are not just physical or psychological attributes, but also represent the fundamental forces at play in the universe and within every individual. Sattva means purity, harmony, and knowledge. It is the quality that leads to spiritual growth and liberation. Rajas means activity, desire, and attachment. It is the force that keeps the soul bound to the material world and the cycle of birth and death. Tamas represent inertia, ignorance, or darkness. It is the force that causes the soul to remain trapped in ignorance and leads to delusion. The Gita teaches that the soul must rise above the influence of the gun to attain liberation. After this, we talk about the karma, bhakti, and jnana, the three paths to liberation. While the characters of the Gita can be seen as representing certain aspects of the human journey, Sri Aurobindo emphasizes that the real focus is on the path that lead to the freedom, whatever path you choose. And finally, we talk about the ultimate goal, transformation of consciousness. Sri Aurobindo sees the Gita's ultimate message as one of transformation, that is, transforming the ego bound consciousness into divine consciousness. The teachings are not meant to be limited to mere theoretical knowledge, but are designed to lead the practitioner to a higher state of being. The Gita is thus not merely a dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. but a discourse on how every individual can transcend their limitation and realize their divine nature. For Sri Aurobindo, the Gita's purpose is to show that life is not separate from the divine, but it is a means for soul to evolve toward perfection. This transformation is achieved by aligning with the divine will, transcending the ego, and living in harmony with the higher consciousness that permeates all existence. Sri Aurobindo highlights the three yoga, karma, bhakti, and jnana, as complementary paths to spiritual liberation. Karma yoga, that is the yoga of selfless action. Sri Krishna's guidance to Arjuna about performing his duty without attachment to the fruit of his action is not just about fighting in a war, but about transcending selfish desires and aligning one's action with the divine will. Bhakti Yoga, on the other hand, it is described by Sri Krishna's declaration that devotion is the divine, that the devotion to the divine is a path to liberation and a call for the soul to surrender to the higher power, to act in the world with love and devotion rather than personal ambition. Finally, Gyan Yoga, the teaching that knowledge of the self or Atman and the Supreme, that is the Brahman, is the ultimate path to liberation. Sri Aurobindo stresses that Gyan is not just intellectual knowledge, but an experience or realization of the unity of the individual self with the divine. This integration of all the path is beautifully captured in Bhagavad Gita, Shlok number 18.66. Abandon all varieties of dharma and simply surrender unto me alone. I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Sri Aurobindo believes that the end objective of a person is not to attain moksha, but extend to the divinization of the life itself, which involves transforming every aspect of human being into an expression of the divine. This vision of spirituality integrates the material and spiritual realms, proposing that life itself can become a field for divine manifestation rather than being rejected as an illusion or obstacle to liberation. Sri Aurobindo rejects the notion that spiritual growth requires a renunciation of life. Instead, he sees life as a dynamic process through which the divine can express its will and purpose. Sri Aurobindo emphasizes the importance of applying divine knowledge to every thought and decision. Now we take a look at some of the notable works by Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo has authored hundreds of books, journals, poems dealing with wide variety of subjects. Some of them are as below. The Arya, which ran from 1914 to 1921, the first journal of the Sri Aurobindo, which laid the foundation of many of his works later. Then the Secret of Ved, Hymns to the Mystic Fire, Isha Upanishad, Cain and Other Upanishad, The Renaissance in India, War and Self-Determination, The Future Poetry, The Human Cycle, The Ideal of Human Unity, Essays on the Gita, a profound interpretation on the Bhagavad Gita, The Supramental Manifestation upon Earth, The Human Cycle, The Ideal of Human Unity, The Synthesis of Yoga, Savitri, The Life Divine, and finally On the Ved. To commemorate Sri Aurobindo's 125th birthday in 1997, the Sri Aurobindo Ashram brought out the complete works of Sri Aurobindo's in a uniform library edition of 37 volumes, where each volume is approximately 500 pages. So you can imagine how much work was done by Sri Aurobindo during his lifetime. Thanks for your patience and watching this video.